Man, this is live. Anything can happen. Man, this is live. Anything can happen. Man, this is live. Anything can happen. Man, this is live. Anything can happen.
And what if you fuck up?
Man, this is live. Anything can happen.
I'd be pissed scared I'd get a boner or fucking fart or something.
Man, this is live. Anything can happen.
Shut the fuck up, man. You're making me nervous.
There I am. There I am. Almost didn't show up. We got a welcome, guys. Welcome, guys. We've got, if you didn't see the thumbnail, we've got a special guest tonight on the show, Rich Roland, who's worked with, I think, everybody. He's worked with Kenner. He's worked with McFarland. He's worked on Spawn. He worked on Superpowers. He worked. I know what y'all gonna kill me on those V series. Y'all gonna. I know that's all y'all want to talk about is those V series that didn't get released, because whenever I bring up the V series, you know, you guys always tell me more. Where are they at? He also worked on the Freddy Krueger doll. I don't know if you remember that. I've got a picture. I'll pull it up in a second when I'm interviewing him. This was a doll where it was it's gonna kill me. Max, FX Max. There's like a special effects doll. It's very cool. It's supposed to be a whole line of that, but only Freddy Krueger, I believe, got released. So let's see who's over here in the chat room right now before we get started. Give it a little bit more time to get people in here. Give me a couple of minutes. We'll check out the chat to see what's going on. What's very true, Junkman? Guy before you said that test shots are not prototypes. And I said, yes, that is true. Good evening, Bradley. Bruce, I think you really enjoyed this interview, Bruce. I saw you. You're always in your shop working on your custom figures and everything, so I think you'll have a good time watching him, because he showed me around his shop a little bit, showed me little tools. I don't know what the tools are, to be honest with you, but I'm sure Bruce knows and everybody else. So we got that. We've got a hey, that's me right there. I still want those V toys. So yes, why did they release them? We want those V toys, man. Ever since we found out we didn't get them as promised, man, we want them. Hey, there's Go Figure. There's the Go Figure guys always in here with the chat. Oh, Samantha Sledge is in here. McFarland toys are pretty amazing. He was telling me the story about working for McFarland, and interesting story, and I'll let him talk about that a little later also. But hopefully you guys got some questions for him. We're going to try to do this for about an hour. I think that's about it. I always love McFarland. Yeah, I mean, McFarland was the first one that really aimed their toys at collectors back there, especially in that 90s collectors boom. So I think that's it. If we're ready, let me see if he's ready. Okay, he's ready. Let me play a video real quick so he can get everything set up. I just had it ready. I'll play this video that was about the toy video we did today. So let's play this video, then we'll be right back with Rich Roland.
This is the new baby in our family. A baby doll. A famous doll. Archie Bunker's grandson, Joey Stivic. So, of course, he's special. Your child can give him a drink from his bottle, then he wets. And when his diaper is changed, it's clear that Joey Stivic is a physically correct boy doll. My husband and I think that's terrific. And he's such a soft and cuddly doll.
Archie Bunker's grandson, Joey Stivic, by Ideal, is a physically correct boy doll.
What a great idea.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know that commercial was that short. Okay, here he is. Here we go. Oh, let me bring it over here so we can see us both. I wasn't ready like I thought I was. There we go.
There
Rich
we
Roland,
are.
how's it going?
Fine,
There
thank
you
you.
are.
How are you?
Doing good. I
How's
like that. I
everybody?
said it earlier. I like that guitar back there. What's that?
Thank you. Thank you. One of mine.
Is
And
that
I was
bubble
just
gum?
wishing everybody's as okay as we are.
Yeah, hopefully so. Is that's bubble gum in that guitar? Is that a bubble gum machine?
Yes, it is. It's
Okay.
jammed at the moment.
Okay.
That's a
Now, before we get
guitar.
started,
That's a guitar joke.
jam it. Took me a minute. I'm kind of
Yeah,
slow.
we were jamming.
I'm in the South. It
We were
takes a little
jamming.
bit.
You can put a quarter. It usually takes quarters. We did it for a trade
Yeah.
show like a long time ago, and honestly, on both regards, literally and metaphorically, it jams.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Okay. Before we get to the questions, let's just run over the toy lines that you did so people kind of know what to ask you. But you did superpowers, right?
I
Or
didn't
some?
do all of those. No, we made a playset for them
The playset.
that didn't come out. I did. It was
Dark Side?
Dark Side, the Fortress. Yeah, the Dark Fortress, whatever. Fortress of Doom or something like that. Yeah, the dragon figures, the Dark Side head on the top, all the mountains, the entire environment. I didn't do the figures on that one.
Okay, just the.
But
Yeah.
if you
It
count
seems like
the
you did a lot.
giant
Of,
head, it's a
it seems like
giant
you did a lot of
figure.
toys. It looks pretty
Excuse me?
good though, that detail. I say it looks like
Thank
you did a lot of figures that didn't get released. I guess that's the
More,
nature of the.
well, yeah, I hear you. I hear you. More did get released that didn't, but it's a crapshoot, and they're making prototypes. So, as it turns out, there are a bunch, and I'm happy to chat all about that.
Okay. Okay. Before it's asked in the room, maybe you know, where is that Alien FX figure?
The Alien.
That prototype. You know that you did the Freddy Krueger one?
Yeah.
Did you do the Alien? It's on the back of the box. It shows an alien.
No. That's Gary Borbridge did that. I forget the guy's name. I'm not great at names. They weren't in my network, if you will. Those cats that made the original prototypes of that line. When Matchbox took it on, they came to the shop I was working at the time, which was a job shop. I was always a gun for hire. So, they showed me what they wanted. We knew what they were looking for faster than most folk, and put together that line very quickly and lovely. It came out great, frankly. I have only a couple of the Max FX doll. I have a couple of those pieces left over. You can see it's hollow.
Yeah, let me make you bigger real quick, so so people can see it. I'm gonna move
Center
you
that.
over here if
Got
I
some
can.
light in there for you.
There you go.
Yeah, that's the scale of it. And let me get his face in there for you. There you go. And then
Yep,
the back of
that's
his
Freddy.
head. And there's the back of his head. Now, originally, they would have gone together. You can see a snap tab up here. So that was engineered by me. And that would go snap around in your head.
Okay. Did you design the doll also, the figure under it, or was that kind of just a custom?
Actually, a guy in the next booth did the generic. Yeah, it was all we needed on that was a generic head.
Yeah, it didn't look like anything special.
Nothing too special. G.I. Joe style and proportion, just average guy. And he made that first, I believe. And then I would proceed at that point to make sure I put a layer of wall thickness for the Freddy that would go on top of it. And then once I knew there weren't going to be any thin spots, you expand the head from there.
Yeah.
I would say originally in clay, but eventually the whole thing would go into a wax sculpture. And this is a casting. Let me see if I can get that in there. That's a solid casting before we split the parts apart and hollowed it out for the head that went inside. And then in manufacturing, I think they adjusted the inner head anyway, which happens.
Yeah.
The rest of it's history.
I got you. Oh, okay.
Really?
That's
well, it was.
And that's it for
Yeah,
people that don't know. That's the plot. Yeah, that line. I don't know if it didn't sell or what, but
no, it
yeah,
sold out overnight. Actually, it sold out overnight was the word I got. But a religious group protested it because it was macabre and threatened to boycott all of the toy stores that carried them, including Toys R Us and Walmart, whatever, Kmart, wherever they were being sold. And so they pulled them. You know, I was at Toy Fair shortly after that happened, and all the folks at Matchbox were patting me on the back because we made history. Basically, the first toy to be essentially pulled from the American market on account of somebody's opinion.
Really?
Yeah, there's the internet.
I mean, I know how, especially in the, I know how it is. Heard a lot of that. Like I said, I know there was an alien and a Frankenstein and some others, and it's always been a mystery. No one's seen them since that picture, so we always.
Well, they never went to. That was going to be the next round. That was always the intention of the folks that I spoke with, and because of the response that it got, you know, in the news. I mean, it was on Entertainment Tonight, that old show, which was like equal to like TMZ today. Yeah, it was on every network news over everywhere about it. The pull string is the one that really raised hell.
The Freddy Krueger one?
The large Freddy Krueger, sure. Yeah. That one really raised their ire. Here, I have that head here. Let me grab that. Dust it off. I can tell you why. First doll the show brings. And that's a production. That's a production job there. And the scarring, I got that down pretty good. And you have to understand, it wasn't supposed to be an identical portrait of him, as close as the FX Freddy, the Max FX doll was. The bigger one, they really wanted it a hair more cartoony.
Okay, and, that's some good detail.
Thank you. I got a lot of the teeth. Let me see if I can get that in there for you. Yeah, their teeth.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that is good.
Yeah, they're
teeth too.
Yeah, and in that regard, I got dental tools behind me coming out the wazoo.
So it looks like you held on to a lot of stuff.
I did.
Yeah, that's good now, especially, you know, a lot of that prototype stuff's worth a lot of money now.
Turns out, who knew? And I don't mind telling you, since absolutely, and I don't mind saying it, since I didn't get royalties, contract job,
right,
on any of that stuff. It's nice that a little bit of a annuity later in life, that these prototypes ended up being that valuable, and they really are. A lot of you were asking me earlier, any of the prototypes we've sold have landed in good hands, so we're happy about that. And I like they're viable collectors, bona fide guys.
That's good. I talked to a guy that did a lot of Star Wars stuff, and he didn't. Star Wars guy didn't say much of the prototypes, some of them, and he was like, "Man, if I held on to them," he said he'd be retired now.
Yeah, I hear you. Not quite. I can't retire from it. You know, there was only so much. But and a friend of mine, Lee Volpe from Geico, had introduced me to the Hakes Americana and Collectibles auction place way back when, because he had too many Dino Rider prototypes in his garage, and he needed to get rid of them. It was time, and he had done that, and I was impressed with what he got for them. So
Yeah.
when when you need the money, you do what you got to do. And we miss them.
I
We
mean,
have good photos.
and if it
And we
goes
have
into a collector's hand, that's good too. You know, it's going somewhere.
absolutely people. Yeah, we drooled over them for our lifetime. I have enough other prototypes that we're happy with that we miss them a little, but it's like they got to go sometime.
Yeah, I mean, at least it didn't get thrown away. You know.
True. Although I don't want to go there too much, but yeah, I can think of the Superpowers playset. One of the castings of that base for the Superpowers playset. I'm pretty sure was discarded during Hurricane Sandy.
Oh,
And
really?
it was that one piece. I can't even begin to estimate. Yeah, the base for that, the rear view.
That one would have probably. There's a lot of superpowers, and you got superhero collectors.
Oh,
That would have been a.
I can't even imagine how much it would have gone for these days. A lot.
Yeah. Show another picture
Rear
of
view in there. Oh, I don't know if you have the rear view available.
No, I didn't pull the
Didn't you?
rear view one.
Oh,
No, I
well.
should have. I didn't grab it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's enough that you got this.
I don't know why they didn't release that. I mean, that looks like it would have been a hot. I don't know if it just came to the end of the toy line when it was sales dropped or what, but that looks like it would have been a really good seller.
And I have no idea. I swear. I wish it was beautiful. It was really cool little toy for kids. And when we made these things, we did get into the head of it. You're taking every thousandth of an inch very seriously in engineering, but on the other hand, kids got to play with it. And while I'm tooting my horn a little, I might brag and knock on wood, not a kid has ever been physically harmed by any toy I've ever made or designed.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's.
Safety first. Safety first.
Right. Let me pull these up. Let's talk V, because I know that's what everybody wants. A lot of people probably want to hear. And there's the headshot you base the figure on. Let me pull the prototype up.
Yeah, wait till you hear what I found.
Oh, what'd you find?
You're gonna love this. You're gonna love this, and then I'll let you take over again. Listen, I was looking for this. Yeah, I was looking for miscellaneous pieces to bring to you today, and I found a casting of the ogre from the Dungeons and Dragons figures I did. And
really?
I had right. And I had a couple things in my hand, and it slipped out on my desk, rolled to the back of my desk, to the wall, and behind cartons. So I got on my knees, I went down, I reached under like a brave soul, because who knows what was there. And look what I found. I didn't find the ogre head. Look what I found.
You didn't find the ogre. Let me make you bigger so people
it's
can
there.
see that.
It's there. But this is the only Diane head. Let me make sure she's as focused as possible for you. There's a prototype of her. This is very hard, solid casting. Let me put her just a little that way now. There she is.
Man, so hey, you found it because of me.
Come again?
I said you found it because of me.
Yeah, that's what I call timing. That made my day, my friend.
That is. Well, I asked you last night too, because that's when it hit me. You did that, and I asked you.
Yeah, I didn't have any pieces to show you. I was
I think,
there she is.
Because you sold this prototype, right?
Yeah, that one's one. All lock, stock, and barrel. I'm sad to say. What you're looking at there is the original wax that is the lighter whitish color. And to the right is a ivory colored blonde urethane master casting for samples, undoubtedly. You can also see in this picture how the hair was. That was a first for me, and maybe the most challenging part was to have the hair separate from the figure. A lot like what McFarland does these days. Yeah, it was. Yeah, we didn't do that then, and we relied on paint and a parting line.
I can see that.
Yeah. So there's a nice picture. I wish we had a bigger picture. That's, I believe, ultimately from the catalog where it was shown in Toy Fair that year.
Yeah, I wish I know what. I bet those were
That's the one that people was like, what happened to this stuff? I said back then people didn't care. Probably just got thrown away.
I'm
Sadly,
sorry
right?
to say that the couple guys that I know to ask have passed away last year.
Oh,
So I
yeah, like
lost a couple of my best friends in the business that way. Of age, not COVID, I might be happy to say.
oh, that's good.
But yeah, I'll miss them. They're great guys.
Yeah, that's
Tom and
trying to
Dave,
catch up with you guys. I know it's yeah. Well, I'm gonna hold on before we get into the questions here. Let me pull this up because you had a good story about the Spawn figure.
Sure.
What you said did look like Holly Berry, and I was like, yeah, it does look like.
Yeah. They said
This would have been.
Yeah.
This would have been Spawn's wife with child. McFarland.
Yeah,
You
I
know about
believe
what
so.
year this was? Early
Um,
90s, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it would have been 94, 93 off the
Right when
top
they
of my
first started doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The shirt would have been made separate. That was one of those situations where McFarland style, they wanted that. That's a piece that I sculpted while I had my studio in Warminster, Pennsylvania. Their studio was located in upper state. I don't know if it's New York or Jersey, out in the woods. Beautiful, beautiful studio. A lot of really, really talented guys. As a matter of fact, they were working on Burton's. What was the with Jack
Beetlejuice?
Skellington?
Sleepy Hollow.
Sleepy Hollow.
Oh,
They had
Sleepy
the
Hollow.
tree. They were sculpting the tree at Sleepy Hollow at the time. The place knocks your socks off. My problem with working with them is that the guys that were on a salary could handle their changes, and when they asked me to do it one way, and then 3 weeks later wanted it another way, you're not paying for changes, then I'm not working for you much more. So I didn't care to move there. So
Yeah.
it was a one-time great experience. I would say that. Good people.
Okay. And how let me pull these up too, because these were probably fun to do because they're really different than probably anything else you were working on. The crash dummy figures.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I really like and you got the baby
Thank
in the
you.
stroller, but I really like the run over cat.
Yeah, thank you. I had total artistic license with pretty much all of this. Now, I did not make bodies. There you go for that. I didn't make the bodies for the figures of Larry and Daryl and what was the other one? The overweight guy, Flat Tire or Fat Tire,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember their names now. I know you're talking about that.
Oh, it's hard. But one of them had a heavier head, and I don't have a picture of that one. That would be the Flat Tire guy.
Yeah.
I love doing that. So I just did the 3 heads, and then and the dog, the cat, which was hysterical fun. I really love doing that. And then the baby, I had 110% license with that, to the point where the thumb actually fits in the mouth if you want it. You know, when you swing it up, it'll go into the mouth.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. The devil's in the details. Yeah.
That's true. Well, we'll hop over to hop over to Double Dragon a little bit, because I forgot they even made these toys until I started talking to you. And I was like, oh yeah, Double Dragon. I forgot about these. I was kind of out of toys by then.
Yeah.
So I kind of missed the boat on.
TV show. Big time Saturday morning TV show. Yeah.
Yeah. And when I mentioned you did them, a lot of people say, oh yeah, man, I had those. I remember those. So so you got a couple. Show another one right there. What line is this from? Is this Double Dragon?
No, that's the ogre. Actually, that's one of those heads I rolled off the table today. That's the guy. That's the ogre from Dungeons and Dragons from
Dungeons and Dragons.
80s. Yeah, early 80s. Some of the first figures we did. And I can say that all of these figures were originally done in clay. You can see some of the clay modifications here in this image that I put in to change the legs along the way. But and this one is a fun story that it turned out to be essentially a self-portrait. I found one of the remaining pieces, and I I have to tell you, before I knew that I could get away with that, essentially, that it was allowable, I had sculpted this guy, and it just looked like me without a beard and without a mustache and without curly hair at the time, right? And so I, sitting my bench, I have to tell you, I worked hours trying to make it not look like me. I redid the head. I did. I literally smushed it in my hand because it looked identical for a while. And I literally smushed the clay in my hand, started from scratch, wiped that one off, did it again. It looked like this, and it passed. And I was like, okay, let it go. But as far as I can tell you, it really still looked like me. And later, then Tom,
sneak it in there.
Yeah, the young male Titan. I have one behind me here. Yeah, here's a production one. Oh, I have to watch my knees here. Sorry. Here you go. Here he is. That's him finished.
Okay. Looks like you.
It does. Yeah, it does. It still does. I'm glad. And then later, Tom Wells, the designer, that designer, said, no, you could have left it. I was like, are you kidding me?
Now you tell me. Yeah. So you find that out after you're done with it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Long gone, out of the shop. And he says, "Oh no, you could have left it looking just like you." It ended up, except for the bit of a broken nose.
Yeah, I mean, could have had mini. You have your own action figure.
Yeah, it would have been mini me.
Yeah, I know there was some toy design.
It still looks like me.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it. Yeah,
sure,
pretty close. But I guess what 35 years ago.
Yeah.
But I know some Kenner
had a couple more pounds on me.
Right, yeah, we all got that. I know some Kenner toy designers that snuck things in. They got their daughter's name in some toys, and you can look for and find. And
absolutely,
so people did sneak. So people did sneak things in.
Yeah, from that day on, like from 1983 or whatever it is, or yeah, that was an early one, in 1982. But from then on, I was noticing that, and in fact, to this day, I have friends in the music business who play for things like Animaniacs and other major movies, and they're the A-list musicians and stuff. And we were watching a cartoon the other day, and my buddy was one of the characters in the orchestra in the cartoon. And I had to send him a clip of it because it was Joel. Yeah, they do that. Disney did that a lot too. The Disney people did that a lot. You'll see a lot of great faces in there.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to open the chat room up now and see if anybody. Let me hop over and see if anybody get any questions here.
Sure.
Somebody said you're too young. No, you're the young male Titan. Okay.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, I didn't have his physique. I'm 6'3". I've always been built like a string bean. So the young male Titan had a little more meat on him than I did. And that if you take that aside, I wish I could look like that. Yeah, I do.
It's the fantasy figure of you. That's the fun of it.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm gonna open it up. If anybody else has any questions, let me know, and I'll pop it up there. See if I see any up top. Were the toys based on the ones that the kids played with on the show? Oh, never mind. I answered that one for him all. He was talking about V. Yeah, on the TV show they had some toys, but they were done before you guys went to work. So
correct.
They wasn't the same figures. See if anybody else has
got a whole new line. And for all we know, it was a proposal from an entrepreneur design shop that may or may not have been connected to one or more toy companies at the time, because that's how they did that.
You wouldn't know why they never got out, do you? Well, that show was probably canceled pretty fast. So that's probably why. That
could have had something. You know what? You might have something there.
Yeah.
Look into that. You may be right. You may really.
Yeah, because when I did I remember doing a video on it, and the ratings went down episode after episode, so they probably pulled the plug on it. Okay, let's see here. Mr. Roland, what years did you scalp action figures, and do you still do them now?
Not recently. I kind of been doing my own thing for quite a while. I keep up with the toy industry. I see what's going on there. It's not hard to get on that bike again. But no, I've been doing my own thing between music instruments and my own entrepreneurial enterprises. And I do take commissions from some other clients. I just designed a beautiful set of solid gold or solid silver at the moment, gold plated sunglasses with a Cherokee Apache, excuse me, a Native American theme for some folks here out in LA.
That's pretty
So
neat.
I'll be posting that soon on my Facebook, but you know, it's something for someone else. It's a commission I like to take.
Yeah.
I like that now and then, but I've been doing my own thing mostly.
Okay. Well, I got Go Figure has a 30-year-old question for you, but did you do any Swamp Thing?
No,
Well, he's not going to be able to answer your question then. So
no, no, I know them. I know that line.
yeah.
I was the only guy in the shop that was allowed to go to the mall, to all the toy stores before I would start on any project because we didn't have the internet down then.
Oh yeah, you had to go look, see whatever.
Oh yeah, that or to the library or to any toy store. I would spend an hour there at least scanning the shelves and seeing what's happening and what we were up against, basically. Yeah.
I think you only said you worked on that one Superpowers, but did you work on the Clark Kent phone booth that never came out? Do you remember that?
I wish.
Okay.
I wish.
I don't even remember that one. Okay.
Yeah. Sounds like something I would have liked to have been involved with. That's for sure.
Yeah. So you did freelance the whole time. You never worked for an actual.
Pretty much. Yeah, I would say the majority. Well, I worked for another shop for about 10 years and created their sculpture department. So everything that came in the shop was essentially because I was there. They had basic work earlier, but when I got there, we went hard, and the shop got way bigger, and I was managing all of the sculptures and the sculpture business that was going through there for about 10 years until I was told I can make more money if I opened up my own shop. So that's what I did.
Yeah. Probably better that way.
We did make more money.
Yeah. I would say probably more money and more freedom and everything else.
Yeah.
Kind of working with
manage your own overhead. You know, when you work for you, you get to choose your overhead. These folks had 35 guys working in a shop. They had to keep the heat running, the air conditioning going. You know, they were charging horribly expensive prices.
Yeah.
And the process is tedious to begin with. So, you know, it was top dollar.
Right. Samantha says, do you have any technical background in sculpting, architecture, and engineering?
Yeah, I got a great answer for you. When I was teaching at Lehigh University in the engineering department, representing sculpture, engineering, and legal departments that were being merged at the university, I was self-conscious that I only stayed in industrial design in the department at the University of the Arts, or PCA, Philadelphia College of Art, for one day, even though I was best friends with like half a dozen people in the department. My passion was in the sculpture department because of the amount of creativity and freedom you have in that kind of environment. And as a result, I'm like really self-conscious by the time I'm teaching at Lehigh University. And I said to the head of the engineering department, I told him as much, and he said, and I'll repeat it. He said, before I went to engineering school, I didn't know how to spell it. Now I are one.
Now.
So yeah, I've been engineering on my own, you know, as it turns out, since I was a little kid, taking things apart, making things from scratch, assembling things, designing things in my head. That's engineering, as it turns out. And if you study the numbers and go by math and physics and so forth, you can't really go too far wrong. And it's okay to have other people criticize your work and make it better. That's what it takes. So no, not a technical background in engineering. In sculpture, yeah, I have a master's degree. And while I don't profess to sculpt in the classical way, I can tell you, my studio, my private studio in college, they gave me to do my own thing. I lost my piece, but I can finish. Was right next to Walter Erlbacher's class. That was a sculpture class, modeling, figure modeling, where they had naked models to the studio to the left and naked models to the studio to the right. And he talked about how to carve and work in clay with the figure in a classical manner, semester after semester after semester. And I never had to take his class because I essentially sat in next door with a curtain between us while I was doing my thing, listening to the lectures on proportion and surface and muscles and tendons and veins and appearance and gesture and all that good stuff. So I would say at least, I would say 5 to 6 semesters I heard the same class over and over.
You heard it over. Yeah, so it sunk in after you heard it over.
You know, until they paid me. My feeling was, pay me, I'll apply it.
Right.
Yeah.
What was the first toy line you did? You remember?
I do.
Or action
well, action figures would have been the Dungeons and Dragons for sure. The first playset I ever worked on was the original Orphan Annie movie. We made Annie's Mansion, and I had just started working for them, and I could make things little. I could make small things. What happened to do the reduction process and the big machines and all that. I could just go right to it and make a fork that was like 3/4 of an inch long, and would never pass the swallow test and the tube test in the toy industry. But maybe this was made for people 16 years old and older for sure. But I made the silverware for the mansion set. I made the turkey for the silver platter I made that sat on it. Serving trays, candelabras, all kinds of details and small stuff. And little got into the figurative thing, through one example that we would knock out at a time, and the word got out.
Yeah. Okay. How do you feel about Mattel's maker program where people are able to submit toy designs to a major company without an agent? You can speak on that, any, if you know about it.
Yeah, I have my opinions.
Feel free to keep them to yourself if you want to, though.
Yeah.
Want to move on from that one?
Yeah, we're breaking up.
Yeah, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Oh, what happened there?
We're breaking up.
Oh, which crash dummies besides the baby and the stroller did you completely design?
Okay. Well, again, I did the heads for Daryl. What's his name? Fat Tire, and and one other guy, Daryl, and another guy, and like 3 heads, and the baby, and Splat Cat and Hubcat, the dog.
Okay, they did one called Junkman, and I want to get it just for myself.
We could do
that. Did you do Monster in My Pocket?
I did.
Okay.
Yes, I did. Tina, can you get me my stuff? Thank you. Yeah.
I not want to stay in though.
After some shop noise
It's
over.
your microphone too. So.
Yeah, I know my microphone. I'm so sorry, folks.
Nah, it happens. Believe me, we've got a lot worse happening here.
Yeah.
But he said, Paul says he has a couple of your old prototypes from Monster in My Pocket.
I do. I'll show you a couple. Right there. We got this one, and I got a few over. Where'd I put them? Here we go. Let me get the box here. There we go. We used to have a showroom in the old days. Now it's my dining room. Okay, and I think here's one more. That's right. Hey, I did it all. Or no, there were two more, but we'll get to that. Yeah, I may not have them. I have a couple of them here.
Well, Paul says that he has some of yours. He said he has some of yours.
Really? Who is this? Paul Ewart. What has he got?
I don't know. We'll ask him and get him to tell you what he has. But he said he has a couple in his collection.
Here, I have a bad casting of Triton. 2-to-1. These are 2-to-1s. You remember they were smaller. I'll get the sample out in a minute. Here's one of those collector sets. That's actually the size of them. Like that. And then, so that's 2-to-1.
I forgot all about those.
Yeah, I have more. Where are they? Here they are. Here's another one. This is Callie, another test casting that you can see she's missing an arm.
Yeah.
So this is a casting reject that I still have around for my amusement. Here's the very first one ever made for the line. Hydra. It has 7 snake heads, and it's so hard to see.
Oh, I can tell now. Okay.
Fine, man, super fine detail.
You were good at small.
Yeah, they were. I was, and we did have to reduce them, but basically they were sculpted 2-to-1. Here's a red cap. His knife's broken. I have it over here. I got to throw some super glue on it another time.
Yeah.
Triton. Oh, here's a good 2-to-1 example. Here's Triton along with a production one of him.
Okay, so they sized it down that small.
All right. And they were squishy. They were bendies.
Okay, yeah, I forgot about that line. So
yeah, you can bend them up. Monsters.
Okay, kind of like the muscle figures.
Yeah, and that was that went international. That was all over Europe, Mexico, and the U.S. for sure.
Here's I don't know if you want to answer. You don't have to answer. What's your thoughts on 3D printing technology?
I'm happy to. I like that one. That's a good one, guys. Okay. Yeah, Joe, that's a good one. No kidding. Again, mixed emotions, but I'm happy to speak out about it because currently has its place, and currently it's better than it ever was, and currently you still have to hand finish a lot of what you make.
Yeah.
So that's a short answer. Now, back in the day when I opened up my own business, like 1989, CAD was just starting to happen. And so when I advertised in industrial design magazines, excuse me, I wrote my tagline was "When CAD can't cut." And so, yeah, and today it still can't cut a lot of stuff that creative artists are going to produce, including me.
Yeah, it can't
so
be
yeah, that's my answer. Yeah, and if I had to do it over, if we were busier in the shop, even my daughter was saying it would be cool to have for some of the small parts we make by hand out there. We have a shop in the back, a small machine shop, basically, wood, metal, plastic, etc., and paint jobs, mold room, the whole ball of wax. Yeah, we would kind of consider adding it because there's some advantages.
Okay, and we got Paul back with what prototypes he has of yours. The purple Tango. I don't know the lines. So maybe you know what it is.
Purple Tango. Is that no?
That's the one he had. Yeah,
I'd have to see a picture, I think.
Yeah, and he has a lot. And
it's the one with the wings and the.
Oh, it's the one with the wings and the beak.
Yeah.
I don't know that I did that one. I'm not sure if I did that one.
What about this one right here, the Wendigo?
Wendigo, okay, I did. Yeah, I did the first. Yeah, toot my horn a little bit. I did do the first benchmark models for the rest of them that were produced. I made half a dozen of them, specifically chosen not only for their marketing campaign, but for the difficulty that they might be experiencing with all the others that they were going to make. So they had me like homogenize a style, size of cuts, details, beads, you know, every little thing. So that in the hair, fur, wall thickness, posture, size, height, width, and depth. So I made the originals to define that for the other. There were about 240 more of them made, but they were done pretty much overseas, the rest of them, as far as I know.
Yeah. Okay. Were you inspired by Harry Housen? I knew I was going to have trouble with that name. Harry Housen.
Yeah,
and
in
other
a way.
animation.
Yeah, absolutely. My daughter's in animation, or was, and that was her major. I love Harry, and I loved everything he ever did, and I still watch it pretty much anytime I can get a chance to. Godzilla movies and all that stuff. It's phenomenal. Yeah. He was one of my heroes for sure.
Okay. And look, he's got the doll right there in his picture, and he says, "I have the pull string Freddy right next to me."
There you go. I just got his head here.
And his teeth. His teeth are really, really white.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you. Good to hear.
I think we talked.
You know, and even though they were banned, by the way, even though they were banned, Junkman, hear this. Even though the pull string was banned, and about, I don't know, 10 years later, they sold the license to Spencer Gifts. And so it was reissued again. And since then, I believe it may have been reissued again. And in fact, I have a copy. I might have known better. I would have sent you a copy of a what do you call it? A black market.
One of those bootlegs.
A bootleg. Bootleg Freddy that was called Feddy, Feddy.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see, because they do some weird bootlegs.
And it was absolutely like a 5th generation mold made from the original head. So it was essentially the same head that they ripped off. But you got to understand that every time you copy a vinyl, the vinyl already shrank 6 to 7% from the original sculpture. So when they make a new vinyl, it's another 3%. And then to make production molds, it's another 3%. So now you're talking about at least 10 to 15% smaller than the original doll that you have seen on the market. Yeah. And that's the way you tell the difference. And it was kind of neat. We bought one. Did we buy one of those?
No.
I don't think we could. Yeah, I think they outlawed it here. They wouldn't let them in.
Really?
Yeah.
Samantha says, "Do you have any tools you use to scalp you can show us?" Sculpt.
Sure. Sure. Let me pivot without hitting too much stuff. Don't normally have a table there for the camera. Oh, I'm hooked up on something. Oh, I'm under the, one moment. We'll be there. All right. Let me tuck in again. Samantha, I'll start with my funnest tools, like the first ones I ever made, basically. Let me change the angle of that so we're not glaring. There you go. And I'll come over here a little, and I'm going to just tilt it down a little. You don't need to see me. Here's the first, Samantha, here's the first tool I ever made for sculpting toys. It's a scraping tool. It's made out of a bandsaw blade. It's sharp as a razor on one edge, and it's a shallow curve on this one, and a full blade. You can maybe see it. There it is.
Yeah, I like the handle on it though.
Yeah, it has character, no?
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, the reason I added the hat was because it makes a great palm scraper, and it was it turned out, as a learning exercise, it got me to where I made other tools that way. But even though I did, the next kind of tools I made, here they go. I used old files, which is really old high carbon files my grandfather had given me. They had either worn out or broken. And so this one, I'll get a white background somewhere there. Let's get up there. There it is. That's a 1/16 of an inch wide chisel. That's all it is a chisel with a sharp sidewall. And there's that. And I used a fancy designer toothbrush that we're going to throw out to make my handle.
My handle.
Yeah, so that's just it made it easy to recognize on the bench, and it was handy. And here's another one I made with a point on it. Let's come back here, right there. That one's almost 90-degree angle. You'll notice it's not really a 90-degree angle.
Yeah.
That's because you need draft when you're carving. And again, that's a neato carving blade made out of an old file and an old toothbrush. And then here's a couple more. Here they are. I got a little fancier. And I can tell you, everything you've seen and we talked about today, I've used these tools since then. 92 or 1 or 80. So that's like 40 years. A friend of mine showed me how to make a wood handle with a brass collar around it, how easy that would be. And so this is like at a Purple Heart, and it's just a handle that I turned on the lathe with a chisel. And that one's like 1/87 or something, or 3/16 of an inch wide, with a very nice sharp razor edge on the front, so I can straight carve or chisel into light material with that guy. And you can see how little it is next to my finger.
Man, yeah, that is. Yeah.
And then I got smaller. Here's one that's about a 32nd of an inch blade at the end. That's just a little mini chisel. You can see the taper, and again, I made this handle out of a hunk of aluminum on a lathe real quick. And just for everybody's sake, you can use a drill and you can turn it into a lathe and make handles. And this is one of my favorite. This is really one of my favorite. Working with feathers or hair. I don't know if you can see the tip on that. It's a really very lovely, just about I'm going to call it a 60-degree ellipse at the end. And it's fairly thin. And you can go in, and there's the other side. And it's a lovely little, I forget when that wood is, but lovely little brass knurled sleeve on the top, so the wood doesn't split. When a guy showed me that back then, I said, that's for me. Oh, here's another handmade one. Not as pretty. This one's day glow. This one works in UV light. I plastic candy. It has cracked over 40 years, but who cares? It still works, and it's a different ellipse, a different curve on the top of that bad boy. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Those are some of my favorite homemade ones. Oh, and just for the record, you know, again, a palm chisel, I needed a 1/2 inch or so regular wood chisel that I tucked it up in the lathe, chopped off the rest of the handle, and it makes an absolutely wonderful scraper for push scraping, or you can pull scrape it that way. You know, and then over the years, other handles I've made. This is for a, you know, since I make music instruments, I will tell you guys, one of my favorite tools has turned out to be the guitar. It's a guitar maker or a violin maker's file that has no teeth on the side. And again, yeah, you can see how shiny that is. There's no teeth on the side. So when you're cutting in a shape in a corner on something that's square at that point, that's the way to go. And if it isn't, then for those of you who are unfamiliar with Rifflers, I'm going to put on my actual, one of my close-up lenses. You're going to dig some of these a lot. These are called Rifflers. And so if it's a peculiar surface that you're working on, this is a file. It's a very fine file. jewelry departments.
Yeah.
You can find them on Amazon, anywhere these days. That's a very fine cut, and you can see there's a bit of curve to it, so you can, and there's no teeth on the back, so you can just go in and get into funky shapes. This is like a flat one for coming in that way, and again, one side is bald. These were more expensive 20 and 30 years ago, but recently I've seen them online for, like, I won't say a dime a dozen, but they're half as much money as they cost when I was buying them. It was one of the most fanciest of rifflers I have is this rat tail riffler. See it?
Yeah.
And when you need to get into an ellipse to file something, you'll notice when I turn it, it turns into an ellipse. You see?
Yeah.
And if you change the angle, let's see if I can do that for the camera. When I dig in up here, if that's an ellipse, there's the ellipse coming. Look at the ellipse I'm able to file.
Oh yeah.
Forward and back. I can get in and make a beautiful tight ellipse by filing that way.
Right.
That guy. So when you're sculpting something like hair, you can get in there with those rifflers to finish the work up. If your scrapers and files don't work, you can use those to get into there. You know, other wax tools, you know, I have mini ones and I have big ones. You know, in the sculpting business, your typical wax tools look like that. And yeah, you can heat it up, melt wax. I keep a nice sharp edge. The sharpening stones is my middle name in the shop. That one's just got a very nice flat, sharp edge on it.
Yeah.
That we keep there. And in doubt, I just grab some 600 sandpaper and run it across my bench, and it's sharp enough for the job. But we have sharpening stones too. And, you know, knives, this a little teeny knife. So, you know, again, hand wrought, hand wrought. And that's a blade. It's almost razor. And it's great for wax. I would use it all the time. And this is a larger radius on the other side. And it looks like a kitchen blade, but remember, it's only just a little over a ½ inch long and thin as can be. There it is. You got my drift.
Yeah.
There it is. And they make all kinds of fancy ones. Those are some of my favorites, for sure. How'd I do?
Yeah. Yeah, good. You got a lot of them. I saw somebody in the chat said you can do it all. Yeah. Somebody said.
Thank you. Yeah, we do. We try. And, you know, just to get technical with you, this is a little 2-inch divider. You know, everybody has dividers, but having a 2-incher around when you're doing little work, this is heaven. Making curves, making measurements. You know, it's one thing to have. Here's your average size. And again, you can get these at Harbor Freight for like $10 or something like this. This one's 50 years old. And made out of better material maybe, but you know, I'm all for buying the $10 one and earning my way up when it comes to tools. And my other philosophy, yeah, for sure. And my other philosophy is if the job pays for it, I'll take 10% whatever I'm getting and spend it on tools. And that's pretty much why I have so many tools these days.
That's a smart way to do it.
Yeah, only when you need them, and now and then you buy yourself a treat when you really have, you know, that extra cash. It's nice to get the ones on your wish list. But I always buy what I need, and it started with my first drill. You know, I was getting $200 for a job. I bought a $30 drill. Wore it out in 2 years. You buy another one. And
I got Jenner Custom Toys. He does a lot of making his own figures in his shop.
I see a comment. Jennifer. Is it Jenner? Jenner.
Jenner. Yeah. It's just a comment. He says 3D printing is cheating and takes away from the art. And that's his opinion.
I agree, except it depends on what you're printing. It's that simple. If you're doing it for prototyping's sake and you need a hinge, 3D print, or you need a tool to make a sculpture work. You know, there's a bunch of reasons why it's okay to allow it to exist. But yeah, there's nothing beats hands-on old school sculpting. I'm all for that. That's me.
Gotcha. Okay, Gary Scott says Rich is amazing. So I'll just give
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Been
you.
working at it.
Wasn't born amazing, huh? What's the smallest character you've carved?
Oh, I have it here somewhere. Hold on.
Man, you have everything on the
there it
table.
is. Yeah, here it is. Let me get these bases for them, or even weird. They were play pieces, I believe, and I'm sorry, I've checked my notes in my logs a number of times for these, and I can't quite figure out if it was Kenner or one of the other game companies that would have hired me to do this. It was a play piece for a game board. I'm trying to figure out how to hold these so you can actually see them. They're little. I'll hold 2 at a time. No, I'll hold 3 at a time so that maybe some of it.
Ooh, that is small.
Sure. Yeah, here we go. Let me see. I want this one view. Let me come in here.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to focus on that thing.
Yeah, maybe back away.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's a little army guy. Here you go. It's a little army figure with a gun in his hand. He's got pockets and grenades on his belt. He's got a helmet. There is stitching on the leather on his belt. Here are some production castings of them. Let me see if that shows up any better. The details show up better in that prototype I show you, but these are production shots of that figure. And they would plug into, I'll show you the prototype bottom. I'll do this again. Here we go. It was just a hunk of rock. Whoops. It was just a hunk of, it's supposed to look like a top of a mountain or a hunk of a rock. And it would plug in. So that was the base that you could move the piece in the game.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And that's pretty much one of the smallest figures
that is
I've
small.
ever done. And then I carved this wicker basket for Lunt Jewelry Company. This would have been, and they never did make this one for some reason, and they ended up closing their doors, which is another reason maybe. But I did a ton of work for Lunt Silversmiths. This is Santa in a hot air balloon basket. It was going to be an ornament. Hold it this way. There you go. There it is. It was going to be an ornament that had a hot air balloon, a hand-blown glass Christmas tree ornament would have been under silver wires, not thin glass like regular bulbs, thicker hand-blown glass to make a hot air balloon with ropes. And on this one, the back ropes have broken off over the years. And in fact, I came up with this just the other day. I didn't know where this was. This is the actual wax that I did.
The wax.
See if you can see it's a styrene base and a styrene interior, very thin styrene. Let me get some light in there somehow. There it is. And you can see the weaving that I did out of wax. All right, with those little tools I showed you. And then I would have cast this into a hard plastic, and then I would recarved and added Santa climbing into it with his basket. And the whole thing had to be moldable so you could get the core. Remember, molding is always an issue. You had to be able to get the mold out. So that's all built. It's built in. And that you learn with experience. That's where that engineering thing comes from, and talking to the right folks. Those answers. Yeah.
Left Coast wants to know if you make your own wax.
I do. As a matter of fact, I tried to replicate the wax I used on 90% of what you've seen today. Just a few years ago, maybe 5.
Yeah.
5 to 10, something like that. And even though I know what was in it, and I knew it took a special way of melting the wax, and I don't even mind telling you, when you use carnauba wax and you're going to add it to, let's say, paraffin or surfboard wax, you have to heat the carnauba first, and hotter than the paraffin is going to be. Then as the carnauba is coming down in temperature, you can mix it in with the paraffin and you have a more plastic, more brittle. It depends on how much you add wax to carve from. And then, you know, at times I know I added, it wasn't talc powder, but it was a white powder. It may have been talc. I remember it being talc, but when I tried it, it didn't work. And it may have been because I didn't mix it in correctly. And then the fourth thing you'd add to that recipe would be pigment. So if you're doing a doll and you want a little pink so that you're in the frame of mind of making a doll vinyl, then I would add a little pink.
Okay.
And similarly, brown or whatever I'm making at the time.
Yeah. Let's see how good you know the current market. Who makes the best action figures currently, in your opinion, if you keep up with it?
Defer to my daughter for the first time in this interview. I'm gonna. She's.
I try to keep him up to date.
Yeah, she's 36 and she collects.
Well, it's hard. There's not as many as they used to be.
Weta?
Oh no,
it's not the Weta figures.
No, I just love Weta.
Yeah.
It's, no,
grab one.
Oh, booger.
Oh, don't ruin anything.
Um.
She likes those.
Give me a moment, I'll get back to you.
Yeah, we'll get back to you in a moment.
Okay.
She's grabbing an example.
Well, have you passed your skills on? It sounds like you have.
Yeah, she's definitely a chip off the block. She does bigger stuff than I did. She, in fact, I'm happy to share and brag and be proud of my daughter for doing the only bodysuit for the Godzilla movie. What was the title? The second to last one.
King of the Monsters.
King of the Monsters.
I do props and costuming now. It's basically foam fabrication, as it turns out, is very much like what my father does, and I grew up watching him do. Only with foam.
Yeah, she grew up sitting on. She sat on my lap. She sat on my lap when I was carving the Freddy Krueger doll. You want to show your face
I'm
here?
Just saying hi. Hi. I make.
Well, it must have been nice to have a dad that did toys.
Oh, it was great. I grew up all of those prototypes that went to auction broke my heart because that was what we called the morgue.
They were called the morgue.
Well,
the morgue.
Yeah, we had drawers out back called the morgue. It was written on it.
So I would play with the morgue, and growing up, I'd sit on my dad's lap as he sculpted Scuttle and Sebastian from The Little Mermaid, and all these cool monsters and what have you. And I'd play with those sea creatures toys. I was the kid.
Yeah, she actually got to play with them
as a kid. Sea creatures toys, because I had all of those prototypes that went to auction were the ones that I got to play with. I have a few things from the morgue that not necessarily ones Dad made, but just ended up there because these samples got passed around.
Yeah, parts happen.
And I refused to sell, even though, like, for instance, one of my
here we go. You're gonna see this one would get high bids.
This is just for. I had lots of people begging me to sell this, but I sold the whole morgue.
It was just an example when we were doing. Listen, when we were doing.
I had this penguin figure.
When we were doing the power.
Not made by my dad, but I did. But we had like this. I think Robin or something, and a few of the production pieces in parts that I had to put back together. No, we don't have the Joker.
It's right there.
What?
You got the Joker too.
Oh, we do.
Oh, yeah, a lot of people's gonna want that.
Feet sample, I believe.
Yeah, that other one was given to me when we were doing the play set.
So this is a prototype.
The dark side.
I'm not sure that this. I don't think it's a production one. It might be. I don't think so. Either way, it was his arm.
Hard to tell right now.
Lost its part because Dad probably took it.
And that's why it was in the morgue.
But yeah, I would have like Dad's Sculpting a whole lot mess of girls line toys. But there was the fairy tales. There were little birds to compete with My Little Pony, and my friends were all impressed. I had a lot, but Dad would buy the production models and then use a knife, like a box knife, and knife out the leg mechanisms. So he was only
when we were doing other prototypes.
Bird figure, and so I had a bunch of these beautiful My Little Pony-esque birds that I got to play with, but they all had brutal, like their legs removed, like knifed out. I was like, whatever, I understand. I get these toys to play with, but my friends were all a little horrified.
Yeah, they were all mutilated to some degree. Yeah, and
yeah.
I couldn't feel bad, and she still got to comb the hair, and play.
Oh, that's good. Then.
So
my favorite toys, the modern line. Me reporting toy news to father is NECA has been my favorite. I believe.
yeah, NECA.
If they do the Pacific Rim toys, they did some other. Wonderful. I think
NECA's
that, that's why Dad's appreciation of the 3D printing thing comes in, is because I'll tell him, like, they took the models from the movie and then they like reduced it. Dad's like, oh, I did that.
And when they did that, they stayed more true to the form than if they had said, here, sculpt it like it looks like on the computer, and you'd end up struggling. Yeah, we could do it, but it would also have, frankly, that handmade quality that gets built in when you make something that way. And the idea that every single dimension is going to be accurate, and they're doing it that way with 3D printing. And I'll remind you, they 99% of the time, they have to hand finish them anyway.
If it's going to become a caricature, sculpt it by hand or digitally. Either way, it's still
when they have the molds, they machine it in. They still got to polish the molds by hand. And any nuances, it does bring up personality at times that gets built in or out.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Let's get a couple more, then we'll. This should be good. Do you have any horror stories about toys being put in the trash, or good stories from the toy industry?
I probably do. Give me a sec. Horror stories. Horror for me. I if you all know, I did the. Thank you, my friend. Somebody said they liked it. I did the Mickey Mouse telephone and the Garfield wall phone, not the first one on the desk, but the second one on the wall for Tycho. And it was such a success that they went on and they asked me to do the Donald Duck telephone. And it was the best thing I had ever done. It was so animated. And he was holding an old time telephone in his hand from the 30s, upright. And
I remember that one.
And I have him yelling into the phone. and absolutely, they got out of the business that year. The electronics from China and whatnot were not trustable. They had too many failures. And I can attest to that, because actually one of my phones died on the wall. As a matter of fact, not all of them did, and there's still some out there. I know from friends and fans that there are some out there. But that's why they got out of that. So I was heartbroken. I mean, I was in mourning. You put a month or two into a piece, and it was exquisitely done. I knew Disney was going to sign off on it right away without any changes at all, because I knew that would be coming. And for them to like pull the plug on that one was really heartbreaking for me. It happens. My favorite story is opening a bet with the former owner of Knickerbocker Toys when we did the it was a Snuggle Bums line. I have one here.
You got the production one.
Here's a couple. This is Mom and Pop. So when I got this commission, this was kind of early on. It was a whole family called the Snuggle Bums. You can see it on my website, I suppose, and it's online. There are a lot of collectors that still buy these en masse, and they made a lot of them. And there's a 2-to-1 there too. Hand me both of them, please. Thank you. Yeah, here's a 2-to-1 of one of the kids on a turtle. And remember, this had to be moldable front to back in one two-piece mold. So for me to push the molding, which you can kind of see in the upper view that it's more difficult, but the kid on the turtle, that's what the kid on the turtle would have looked like in full scale. Half scale. And this is the production size. So in other words, she would have gone nicely with Dad.
Nice one.
The happy part of that story is that I met him. He had where's that hunk of road? He had done a lot of work from the extruded road.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So I bet him that Fisher Price was going to love it.
Yeah.
Because I was new at this, and I just had the confidence, and he took my word. And this was in his Manhattan office. I don't know if you can see it. It's a Hot Wheels track.
Oh, okay. I can tell what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, here, I'm going to bring it in a little better. There you go. That's a Hot Wheels track. When they're purging the machine or getting it set up at the beginning of the day, actually, they get it running and they let it ooze and ooze on the floor. So you can see they're just getting the machine running. And it was sitting on his shelf or something. And I said, I'll bet you that they love it. And the happy part of that story is not only did I win the bet, but they put it in writing. I have the letter in a file box somewhere.
You always got the proof now.
Yeah, that's the kind of fun you can have. And then Tina's handed me a car that I added. You don't have to do that now. I added a car that we use as a sculpture or a doorstop.
Oh,
put a
over a doorstop.
Yeah, it's a good, or a little floor sculpture. So that's a fun. That was a fun bet to win, and a fun thing to do. Horror stories, not as many as you think. And I will say this, and I'm going to say 9 out of 10 clients were great, and maybe 1 out of 100 was the client from hell.
All right. There's any when you're doing lines like the sea creatures that never got released, does it kind of like bum you out a little bit when you're like, man?
Well, yeah, that's
you put your heart into it.
It does. That's what I was saying with the Donald Duck phone. I literally in the morning for about a month, maybe 2 months, I was very depressed about it. You get down, you put your heart and everything you got into it.
Yeah.
And then they go, never mind. And you're like, oh no. So
sea creatures look really good too. Yeah.
And when you're being critical, it's not an abortion; it's a miscarriage. And any school is making babies for babies.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You never know.
It gets emotional at times, but the highs outweigh the lows. When I used to, let me tell you, to this day, and when I see my stuff even on YouTube, the old commercials and yada yada, or these kind of interviews, they really make me feel great. Back then, during the days when I was working for the biggest companies, I would say that my work was on every single network, every single day, on every single channel, at least 2 to 5 times on every single one of them. Kid shows, afternoon, morning, Saturday, you name it, UHF, VHF, NBC, the whole lot of them. And all those, we'd sit back and I would beam. It would make you feel really, really great.
Sometimes I was on VHS duty, where if I'm watching my Saturday morning cartoons, if I see one of his commercials, hit record on VHS.
Yeah, really. Sure. Sure. So thank heavens for the internet these days. We've been over the last, decade or two, been able to dig up some cool stuff. It's feel good. It's feel good stuff.
Yeah, and you were making everybody's childhood. Yeah, you were making everybody's childhood, but your name. Yeah, people didn't know your name.
Really. Yeah, all these kids have grown up playing with my toys. I never got to meet them or hear about it. We just knew that the clients made money. And they're doing it again. We're going to make more of those. And I was like, great. Nobody knows, so in a sense, that's the legendary part. But the fame I never had beyond the occasional interview.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I like being anonymous.
I think we touched on this one. What became of the Tower of
the actual prototype you're referring to? Yeah, I understand. I see what they wrote. I think the actual prototype, and there may be 1 or 2 of them around, I have no idea where that is. I was saying earlier that I used to have a piece, but we lost that. I'm just going to leave it simple. Thanks to Hurricane Sandy, we lost that one. I had a couple pieces from it. I did have the big head from the top, which I sold at auction that I think the junk man has a picture of at some point. But we could look it up. I could find out who owns it, but I know it's a collection.
Yeah, you talk about it. Just pull it up real quick in case anybody came late. This one, right?
Those eyes. Yeah, that's the unit that we sold at auction.
Yeah,
for a good amount of money. That's how I'm.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. The Sea of Flowers. I'm sure that penguin prototype she has would go for quite a bit too. So.
Oh,
Tell
I'm
her
sure
she wants to
if
buy a
that
new
one,
car.
the one that you've seen in the photographs all assemble, I really, it would be so cool to see more photos of it and find out who has it. I'd agree with that.
Yeah, hopefully someone
That'd be
does,
cool.
but
Yeah.
I collect
Yeah.
too, but I've been kind to the people, not me, when it comes to my father's collection.
Yeah, she makes me hold on to certain things. She won't let me sell a few things, but that's,
man, you gotta keep it. Yeah.
we'll keep it in the family. Well, I think that guitar, the gumball guitar, is a good example. There's only one of those on the planet.
It's pretty cool.
Thank you. Thank you. A lot of people wanted me to manufacture them. We couldn't make it cheap. There was just no way to make that cheap.
Yeah.
Affordable. Yeah. Right now it's really expensive that way.
Okay.
One of a kind.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is fun. We've been done almost an hour and a half, so we went a little long. I hope you don't mind.
Lovely. But it's been fun.
Yeah,
and I hope everybody enjoyed what we had to offer. I hope you all had a good time. Nice meeting you, even briefly. And
you ever do any toy shows or anything?
I used to. I went to Toy Fair for 20 years in a row, probably, but not lately. I think the last time would have been about 15 years ago.
Okay, I'll leave with this one.
Yeah.
I'll leave with this one. Mr. Roland, you're a fantastic sculptor and great inspiration. As a child, I really loved the Crash Dummies, Skid the Kid, and my mother and grandmother. So
thank you, my friend. You're the worst. Thank you.
The worst.
That's
okay. Well, I appreciate it, and maybe we could do it. What's that?
I was just saying the worst might have been their name. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that was their username.
We could do this again. I could talk more.
Maybe down the road.
Think about what you want me. I can show you how to do some wax. I can show you how to work in styrene here at the bench. We can give you a little show and tell that way sometimes. I didn't really get into that, but I'm glad we covered what we did. I think we covered a lot of mileage here.
Yeah, I think we had a lot of fun. So hopefully everybody enjoyed it, and you did too. And I'll be in touch with you. Maybe down the road do it again, like I said.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, thanks.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, guys, that was Rich Roland. Hopefully, y'all. Sorry if you had some questions and I missed it. Just trying to listen, trying to watch him, and trying to watch the chat at the same time. So I may have missed you, and I'm sorry if I did miss it. Hopefully, I didn't miss any super chats, but hopefully, I didn't miss anything else. Let's see. We got Thank You, Rich. We got Love It. And man, that prototype penguin figure, man. And he did find the head, killing it with the guest. Thank you. Thank you, Indiana Smith. And he found the head to the V prototype, the female from the V line. That's pretty awesome there. Yeah, I saw someone ask earlier about the V figures that's in the show. That was made for the show. I think I looked into it. I don't know if I talked about it when I did my V video, and I talked about it there. Or maybe looking into it. Man, it's been awesome. Yeah, it was a good interview. He had a lot of good stuff. It looks like he kept everything, and not only did he keep everything, he looked like he kept everything close by. Thanks for coming to the junk room. So, hopefully that was a little better than playing Jeopardy. Gotta take a break from Jeopardy every now and then. Great. It was kind of funny when his daughter came in, and she was so hyper about all of it. Should have interviewed her. Please bring him back. Well, hopefully you guys like that. We can get him. It'd be nice to see him maybe do some work. Just put the camera up and watch him work. That might be pretty interesting right there. But yeah, when she came in, she was pretty hyper about it. So that was pretty funny. I think we're gonna get out of here, guys. We're running late because I did this one at 8 instead of 9. Junkman, you're the best. Well, thank you, Kit Kat. Kit Kat better put a leash on it, man. You the man. Oh, you're the best. Oh, close enough to the man. Thank you, Jumpman. His personality was infinite. Yep, I agree. Jumpman is super fun. Jeopardy is super fun, especially with special guests. Can't decide. Some of you guys were liking when I had the guests come play. And of course, Robert Bauer Burnett didn't make it last night. But I have talked to Robert Meyer Burnett. Remember, he was going to be in the game last night. Didn't make it. He got screwed up. I talked to him. It looks like next Wednesday. I'm not going to announce it next Wednesday until we work out all the details again. But it looks like he said he'd rather do pop culture trivia anyway. So maybe next Wednesday we'll have him on. Hopefully he won't cancel again on me. I think that's it. I want to thank the mods for the soap. Jumpman is so based. Thank you, moderators, for holding down the chat and everything. Everything looked like it went fine in the chat, and everything looks good. So, guys, we will get out of here. I will see you again probably tomorrow night at 7, and of course 5 o'clock for the daily video. What do I want to end this with? Don't forget to go over to the Jumpman Live channel. Subscribe there if you hadn't, because we will slowly move everything over to the live channel. Y'all are sick of hearing that. Anyway, guys, thank you, guys. We will see you.
Hey, Jumpman channel popping though.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.